In today's journey, we're diving deep into the world of American numismatics as we explore one of the most fascinating vintage copper coins that countless collectors still chase after. The United States of America 1 cent from the year 1935. This coin, whether it carries the D Mint mark from Denver or comes without a mint mark from the Philadelphia Mint, continues to capture the attention of collectors because of its charm, its history, and the rise of interest in early cent copper collections. When you look at a 1935 1-cent coin, you're holding a piece of the early 20th century, a time when America was still recovering from the Great Depression, when copper was still pure in pennies, and when millions of these Lincoln wheat cents passed through the hands of ordinary American workers every day. But despite the large number minted, finding a 1935 penny today in fine condition with original details, sharp lettering, preserved wheat stalks, and a clean portrait of Abraham Lincoln is becoming more and more special. After nearly 90 years, most of these coins have been worn down, damaged, corroded, or lost to time. So when a collector comes across a preserved 1935 cent, especially one without a mint mark or one with the D marking from the Denver Mint, the coin immediately gains value. Now, let's talk about the difference between these two varieties. A 1935 penny with no mint mark was made at the Philadelphia Mint. Philadelphia usually produced higher quantities, and of course these coins circulated heavily across the country. Because of their age and circulation, a fine-condition Philadelphia coin tends to show moderate wear but still maintains all major details. Lincoln's profile is clear, the date is readable, and the wheat lines on the reverse are visible even if slightly smooth. The 1935 D, on the other hand, was minted in Denver and carries the small d, just under the date. This mint produced fewer coins compared to Philadelphia, making the 1935 D slightly scarcer in better preserved grades. Even though it's not considered a rare rarity, collectors do prefer Denver minted wheat cents because the mint mark itself adds personality, history, and a connection to the western region of the United States. Some collectors specifically build full mint mark sets, making the 1935 D an essential piece for completing their timeline. When we look at the market today, coin values depend heavily on condition. A fine-condition 1935 penny without a mint mark generally sells for around 25 cents to $1, depending on how clean the surface is and how sharp the reverse lines appear. A fine-condition 1935 D penny typically carries a slightly higher value, often between 50 cents and $2, sometimes more if the coin has attractive toning or minimal surface marks. Collectors will always pay a bit more for pieces that look visually appealing and maintain a natural copper color. While these prices may seem modest, the value increases significantly in higher grades. A very fine or extremely fine example can go for several dollars. In uncirculated, the value can jump much higher, sometimes reaching $20, $40, or even more if the coin has beautiful red luster and strong strike. But today, we're focusing on the fine condition market, which is where most real collectors start and where real, everyday demand exists. What makes the 1935 wheat cent so enjoyable is not just the financial value. It's the story behind the metal. When you hold this small copper coin, you hold a living link to the values, struggles, and memories of 1930s America. You hold something that may have paid for a loaf of bread, a bus ticket, or a newspaper. You hold something that might have passed through the hands of factory workers, soldiers, farmers, or young students. Every scratch and every smooth edge represents real American history. This emotional connection is why collectors continue to love wheat cents, even if the price is small. The real treasure is knowing what the coin represents. Another point that makes this coin interesting is that even though it's almost a century old, millions of people today still do not know that vintage Lincoln wheat cents can hold value. Many people throw them away, spend them, or leave them forgotten in jars and boxes. But coin collectors understand that these small copper circles can become investments if preserved carefully. The younger generation of collectors especially loves the wheat design, with its 1 cent, United States of America, framed gracefully by the wheat stalks. This simple yet powerful design existed for over 50 years and remains one of the most iconic American coin designs ever created. For investment or collecting, the smartest thing you can do with a 1935 penny is to protect it. Keep it in a coin sleeve, avoid touching the surfaces with your fingers, and store it in a dry place. Over time, copper coins react to moisture and air, creating dark spots or green oxidation. A well-kept fine-condition wheat cent will hold its value and might even appreciate as collectors continue searching for older coins that still contain honest, natural detail. So whether you are a beginner collector who has just found a 1935 penny in an old box, or an experienced collector who wants to know the modern market value, remember that this coin offers more than just money. It offers a doorway into American numismatic history, a reminder of how far currency has evolved, and a symbol of the incredible journey of the Lincoln Cent series. From the Philadelphia Mint's no-mark version to the Denver Mint's D-mark counterpart, both coins deserve appreciation for their legacy. As you continue collecting, always keep an eye out for strong strikes, clear mint marks, full wheat lines, and even the occasional error coin. Though rare, some 1935 cents can show die cracks, repunched mint marks on the Denver issues, or slight off-center strikes. Features that can push the value far above normal fine-condition pricing. Coins like this are what keep the world of collecting exciting and unpredictable. So that is the story and today's value of the USA 1935 1-cent coin, both with and without the D mint mark, in fine condition. Whether you find one in a drawer or purchase one from a dealer, treat it like a small treasure. Because even though it's just a penny, it carries nearly 100 years of American history in the palm of your hand. As we move even deeper into the remarkable universe of early Lincoln wheat cents, the 1935 penny continues to teach us how small pieces of copper can hold surprising cultural, historical, and sentimental value. Collectors often say that every coin has a story, but coins from the 1930s have stories that feel alive, almost like a whisper from a distant era. Imagine how many hands a 1935 cent passed through, how many pockets it traveled in, how many counters, lunch tables, and shop counters it touched. Every minor mark on its surface is a mark of life, a sign that the coin truly lived in the world. That's what makes holding such a coin today feel almost magical. It's as if time itself paused for a moment and allowed you to hold a fragment of history frozen forever in metal. When a collector looks at the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, there's always a sense of admiration. His face remained on the coin for more than a century, making this design one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. The 1935 version still carries that classic simplicity, the strong but calm profile of Lincoln, the clean date beneath him, and on the Denver variety, the small but significant D mint mark. This tiny letter is enough to shift the entire identity of the coin, because it tells you where it was born. It tells you that the copper was shaped, struck, and released from the Denver Mint, a place with its own unique history and its own tradition of coin-making. Now imagine the journey this coin might have taken. Maybe it started its life in a mint bag, shipped across the western states. Maybe it paid for groceries during hard times. Maybe it sat in a child's piggy bank for years. Or maybe it lay forgotten in an attic, quietly aging and gathering value without anyone noticing. These small narratives make the collecting hobby feel like treasure hunting, not for gold or gemstones, but for stories embedded in metal. Collectors also enjoy studying the subtle differences between coins struck at different mints. For example, some 1935 D coins show minor variations in the shape of the mint mark because mint workers manually punched the D into the die. This led to small differences from die to die, giving today's collectors something exciting to look for. In some cases, the D appears slightly tilted or slightly doubled, which can increase value. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia-issued coins, which bear no mint mark, typically show a more uniform style because they were produced in larger quantities and circulated heavily across the eastern and central states. Even though the fine-condition 1935 coin isn't extremely valuable in terms of money, it serves as a foundation piece for anyone building a wheat penny collection. Every serious collector begins with the common dates and gradually builds up to the scarcer ones. The 1935 penny acts like a stepping stone, easy enough to find, affordable enough for beginners, yet old enough to spark curiosity and appreciation. And because collectors often try to form full-year sets and full mint mark sets, the demand for clean, fine-condition coins remains steady year after year. Another fascinating element is how copper ages. Over many decades, copper develops different tones. Some pennies turn dark brown, some remain reddish, and some develop multicolored toning that looks like art. Even though fine-condition coins show wear, they often carry beautiful natural tones that collectors find appealing. No two coins age the same way, which makes every 1935 cent slightly unique. This natural aging is part of what makes vintage coins feel authentic, untouched, and original. And then there's the emotional part of collecting, the part that can't be measured in dollars. Many people who collect wheat pennies do so because these coins remind them of their parents, grandparents, or childhood. These coins were still in circulation in the 1940s, 50s, and early 60s, meaning older generations grew up seeing them daily. When modern collectors pick up a 1935 penny, they often feel a nostalgic connection to a time they never lived in. That's the beauty of numismatics. You don't just own a coin, you own a memory, a moment in time, a silent witness to history. So when you look at the 1935 1-cent coin, whether it's a no-mint mark issue from Philadelphia or a D-mint issue from Denver, don't just see a coin. See a legacy. See a symbol of American resilience during difficult years. See craftsmanship from a time when every detail mattered, and even the smallest coin carried dignity. Holding it today is like shaking hands with the past. As we continue exploring the deeper world of the 1935 1-cent coin, it becomes clear that the value of such a piece is not limited to its market price. The true value lies in the quiet persistence of a coin that has survived nearly a century of human activity. Think about the world in 1935. America was in the middle of rebuilding itself. Families were recovering from economic hardship, and life was moving slowly but steadily toward hope. During those times, a penny meant something. A single cent could buy candy, newspapers, or small household items. Children treasured pennies and saved them carefully, and adults treated every coin with respect because it represented effort, work, and responsibility. Today, when you hold a 1935 cent, you're not just holding money. You're holding those experiences, those emotions, those forgotten moments of daily life that shaped an entire generation. Collectors often talk about the soul of a coin, and when you look closely at a 1935 cent, you'll see exactly what they mean. The fine-condition pieces still show Lincoln's expression, carved into the metal with a sense of depth and sincerity. Even though the coin has circulated and shows signs of use, there's still a quiet dignity in the way Lincoln's image sits on the surface. The wheat ears on the reverse, though softened with time, still stand as symbols of growth and prosperity, symbols that the United States held onto even during challenging times. These details remind us why the wheat design continues to be one of the most admired designs in American coinage. Collectors know that the journey of building a wheat penny set can be long and rewarding, and the 1935 penny plays an important role in that journey. It's not too rare, not too expensive, but it carries enough historical significance to make it worth keeping in a protected holder. Those who collect wheat cents understand that every date tells a part of the American story. The early 1900s coins represent optimism, the 1930s represent resilience, the 1940s represent wartime perseverance, and the later years reflect growth and modernization. The 1935 coin sits right in the heart of these transitions, giving it a unique place in the timeline. Many collectors use coins like the 1935 penny to teach younger generations about history. A simple penny can open conversations about the Great Depression, the evolution of the Lincoln design, and how money reflects the values of a nation. Parents and grandparents often gift these coins to children, knowing that the curiosity sparked by a small copper piece can turn into a lifelong passion. And because the 1935 coin is old yet affordable, it becomes a perfect starting point for new collectors who want to enter the world of numismatics without feeling overwhelmed. Another layer of beauty in collecting the 1935 cent is that it captures the imperfections of time in a way that feels authentic. A fine-condition coin will show minor wear, but this wear is like a timeline etched into the surface. The smoothness of the beard, the softening of the wheat kernels, the slight flattening of the rim. Each tiny detail tells you that the coin lived a full life. Modern coins, in contrast, often look identical and machine-perfect, lacking the warmth and character of older coins. That's why vintage collectors love wheat cents. They are not just coins, they are personalities. And let's not forget the excitement of discovery. Even though the 1935 penny is common, finding a well-preserved one in a random coin jar, an old drawer, or a forgotten box feels like uncovering a small treasure. People around the world enjoy the thrill of hunting for wheat cents, especially older ones like the 1935. Whether you find them in pocket change, flea markets, family collections, or coin shops, the experience of discovering one is always memorable. So when you add a 1935 cent to your collection, Whether it has the Denver mint mark or comes from Philadelphia with no mint mark at all, remember that you're adding more than a date. You're adding a chapter of American history. And with each chapter you collect, your appreciation for the craft, the culture, and the journey of numismatics becomes deeper and richer. Over time, the collection becomes more than a hobby. It becomes a personal museum of history, each coin carrying its own miniature story, waiting to be told again. And as we go even further into the meaning and legacy of the 1935 1-cent coin, it becomes more and more clear that a coin like this is not merely a collectible object, but a bridge that connects generations. When you think about how the world has changed since 1935, the contrast is powerful. Back then, people relied heavily on physical money. Every cent mattered, every purchase was deliberate, and coins like this passed from hand to hand in a world without digital payments, without online shopping, without modern speed. A penny felt real. You could feel its weight, you could hear its sound, and that sound was part of everyday life. Today, when you hold the same coin, it feels almost like holding a piece of another world, a world that moved slower, lived simpler, and appreciated small things more deeply. Collectors often say that coins allow you to time travel, and the 1935 cent is a perfect example of that idea. Even though decades have passed, the coin still carries the original engraving of a moment in history. It still shows the craftsmanship of the mint workers who carved the dies, the striking strength of the presses, and the precise alignment of the details. When you tilt the coin under the light and see the faint shine on Lincoln's cheek or the soft warmth of aged copper, you can almost imagine it freshly struck, gleaming with the brightness of new metal. That image connects the past to the present in a way nothing else can. And then there is the journey that coins take across geography. A 1935 D-penny might have traveled from Denver into the Rocky Mountains, then moved east with soldiers, workers, or families seeking opportunity. It may have passed through small frontier towns, busy markets, farms, mines, and train stations. It may have been used in dusty general stores or modern city shops. That tiny D on the coin carries the identity of the American West. Meanwhile, a 1935 no-mint mark penny from Philadelphia might have traveled up and down the East Coast, circulated through New York, Washington, D.C., and Boston, or moved westward during the migration of families seeking better lives. Even though both coins share the same design, their journeys were different, their paths unique, and their experiences imprinted invisibly on their surfaces. Collectors understand these possibilities, and that is why every old coin feels like a mystery waiting to be explored. Even a coin that costs $1 today could have lived 100 lives before reaching you. It might have paid for a wartime meal, or dropped out of someone's pocket during a train ride, or been saved by a child who hoped to build a small collection. These silent stories make the hobby a deeply emotional one, and that emotion fuels the desire to search for more coins, learn more history, and preserve pieces of the past for the future. And speaking of the future, the 1935 penny is a wonderful reminder of how collecting helps keep history alive. Many collectors pass down their wheat pennies to their children and grandchildren, hoping that the fascination will continue. The younger generation may not remember the wheat penny from circulation, but when they see the old design, they instantly recognize that it comes from a different era. The design itself, simple yet elegant, creates curiosity. Why wheat? Why Lincoln? Why copper? These questions can lead to discussions about American agriculture, the legacy of Abraham Lincoln, and changes in coin metal composition over the decades. Without even realizing it, a simple penny becomes a teacher. Even in today's modern coin market, seasoned collectors still appreciate fine-condition wheat cents from the 1930s because they hold a balance between affordability and historical value. They might not be extremely rare, but they are meaningful. And sometimes meaning is more important than rarity. For many collectors, owning a 1935 penny feels like owning a small piece of the soul of America, a soul shaped by perseverance, growth, and hope during difficult times. The copper may have darkened, the edges may have softened, but the story remains strong. And this is why, whenever you add a 1935 penny to your collection, you aren't just placing a coin in a folder or a holder. You are preserving a slice of humanity's shared history. You are keeping alive the memory of a time when hard work was often paid in coins just like these. You are honoring the craftsmanship of mint workers who created something designed to last, something that still holds beauty nearly a century later. and you are reminding yourself that even the smallest objects can carry the biggest stories.